everyone, and welcome to another PowerApps tutorial. Does your client or personal app need an option set filtered based on a selection from a different option set? In this video, I'll show you the JavaScript code that I use to be able to filter out specific values from option set B based on what I select from option set A. Let's get started. By the end of this video, we're going to be able to select from one option set and display a specific option set fields here in the second option set. So I have conference, client meeting, and internal meeting for business travel, and I have family reunion, sibling only trip, and anniversary for family vacation travel. This is filtered based on a JavaScript code that I'm going to be demoing very soon. So the first thing you want to do if you don't have Visual Studio Code downloaded to your machine is navigate to code.visualstudio.com and download for Windows. I'll go through the process here at the top left-hand corner when the file is ready to upload. And you can skip this part if you've already done this to your machine. You'll click finish and it'll should open up Visual Studio Code. This is what it'll look like. And you'll want to just create a new file. I'll name it filter option set. And I'm just going to put it under my documents and make sure you give it a type of JS. If you weren't able to change the file type to JavaScript, once you paste in the base code here, Visual Studio Code would automatically know what kind of code you're adding there and automatically change it to a JavaScript file. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste a skeleton code for what we're going to use later once we create the option sets and add it to our form. So I've gone ahead and pasted it here, and I'll also paste it in the description of the YouTube video. But for now, what we're doing here is we are getting the attribute for option set A and then getting the attribute for option set B. And in the conditional down here, we are checking to see if it's option set A and then saying that if we want to select a specific one from option set B or option set B as well, we can go ahead and assign it to that. And if there's a different option set A that we want to assign it to, we can actually do that as well, and then continue this else if down the line if there are more option sets that we want to filter. But for now, I'm just going to do two different values filtering based on a specific selection. So let's switch back over to make.powerapps.com so that we can build out the option sets and then be able to visually see what we want to filter based on what is selected. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my solutions, and I'll go into my trip planner. I've built this out in previous videos, so if you want to go to my PowerApps playlist, I'll link it here at the top. You'll be able to see how I built out all of these tables as well as some of the apps that I built out for the trip planner application. So I'll go ahead and open up tables. I'll go into my trip table, open up columns, and I want to create two option set fields for my trip table. I'll create a trip type, and then I'll create a trip subtype. And I'll show you what I mean here. I'll create a new column, name it trip type. This is kind of the broader trip type. So for example, business travel or family vacation will go under here. So I'll go down to choice. I won't make it a multiple choice selection, just a single choice selection. I'll click on a new choice. And then for now, just for demo purposes, I'm going to create just 2 options here. I'll change this value to a smaller number just so it's easier to code. Change that there, and I'll click Save. Now that I've clicked that, I can go ahead and select that choice that I just created. And then I won't give it a default choice, so I'll say none, and I'll click on Save, and that will create a new column. Looks like I already have trip type as a column name. I think I created a lookup field in my previous video. So I'll just give it a different name. All right, so I created that. Now I'm going to create the trip subtype. Same idea here, choice field. I'll need to create a new choice. And for these, I will do a few more. So I'll do conference, same concept here with the value, client meeting. So as you can see here, there's a theme here. So the first 3, conference, client meeting, and internal team meeting, are all going to be related to business travel, whereas the latter 3 are going to be related to family vacation. So we want the user to be able to only see the 3 that are related to the top level trip type available when they select that trip type. All right, so once it's been added to my columns, I'll go ahead and open up the main form and add both of these in there so that we can easily see what we're doing. So for this demo, I'm going to remove this lookup field that I created from a previous video and add the option set that I just recently created. So I have trip options, trip type option, which will have business travel and family vacation, and trip subtype, which will have the 6 subtypes that I created for those 2 trip type options. So we'll go ahead and publish this and see what it looks like when it's live. All right, so we'll go back, we'll go into apps, and we'll open up that model-driven app. So I've opened up my model-driven app, and I'll click on new. We should see these options here in the form. So as you can see here, I have business travel and family vacation. So ideally, we don't want to be able to see family reunion, sibling only trip, and anniversary when I select business travel. So that code that we're going to now edit will be able to select and specify that we only want to see these top 3 trip subtypes when business travel is selected, and same thing goes for family vacation. We only want to be able to see these bottom 3 option subtypes when we select family vacation. So we'll open up the Visual Studio Code, and I've added some helpful wording where we want to be able to input the correct schema names and correct values here at the bottom. So here at the top, we want to input and insert the option set a schema name. So if I go back to my solution and I open up that trip table and open up columns, we'll want to be able to take trip type option schema name, which is this APS _ trip type option. So we'll put that in there. Same idea for option set B schema names. So that would be subtype, APS, trip subtype. And then when we go down here, we want to be able to input the trip type option value from the option set. So I believe I gave that a value of 1 to make it easier to remember. But I'll show you what I mean. So if I go inside of here and I open up this edit choice, you'll see that the value here is 1, and we'll put number 2 for the second one. Go ahead and do that now. And then you're going to specify which values from the second option set, so trip subtype, that we want to show when the business travel is selected. So let's go into the subtype and we'll open up the choice field. And so for number 1, which is business travel, we only want to show 1 through 3. So we'll go and open up Visual Studio. We'll give this a 1, 2, and then since we want to add a third one, I'll go ahead and copy. This is or, and then so 1 or 2 or 3, and then same idea here. It's going to be 4, 5, and 6. And we'll save this. And this next part, if you already know how to add it as a web resource and add it to the onChange and onload section of the form, you can go ahead and skip this part and just take the code section. But if you've never uploaded a web resource, please follow along carefully as we upload this into our solution. So I have gone ahead and saved this file. I'll go back to my solution, exit out of this, cancel out of this. And I'll go down to all, since we have not created web resources for this solution yet. So we'll go to new, and then should be under more. There it is, web resource. And then you're going to choose that file that you've been editing and add it here. I filled out the other fields and I'll click on save. So now you'll see web resources here under tables, and if you go inside of code here, you'll see the web resource that we recently added. And now we want to configure it with the form, the trip form, as well as the trip type field. So we want to add it to the onload of the form and the onChange of the field. So we'll go into the trip table again, we'll go into forms, we'll open up the form that we want it to be a part of. Oh, wrong one. Go into form libraries, add library, and we'll search for that script. Click on add. Edit. And you'll see that it is now here. We'll save and publish. In the right panel here, you'll click on Events. Under OnLoad, you'll click on Event Handler. And so we want to select the web resource library that we just selected. And under this function, you'll want to go back to your JavaScript and grab the function name, paste it here, and click done. And then for the specific field, we want to do something similar. So we'll click on the field, the trip type option. We'll click on event. We'll add an onChange event handler, paste that same function name there, and click done. So now for the form and the specific field, we'll have that. We'll click on publish. So we can go back and publish everything just to be on the safe side. Once that's published, go back to your model-driven app and give it a few resets or a hard reset on the app. I did have to do a little bit of troubleshooting. It wasn't actually filtering. We do need to do the attributes all in lowercase, so I changed the trip type option and trip subtype from having uppercase to having all lowercase. After saving this, I went back and added it to my web resource by clicking on web resource, adding it to filter option set, choosing the file again, selecting it, saving it, publishing, going back to your trip planner, refreshing the page. I'm going to click on new and I'm going to select business travel. And as you can see, I only see the business travel options here. And if I click on family vacation, I only see the family vacation here.